So on 9 June 2012, my platoon got tasked to go after a high-value target in the coast province of Afghanistan. It started like any other day. It just had a weird feeling in the air and rolled out the gate. And about 30 minutes after we rolled out the gate, we hit a 500-pound IED.
I was going out to dinner with my sister and I got a phone call. It was the unknown caller and I always answered. And it was John. His voice sounded very different from any phone call I'd ever gotten before. His voice was really shaken. He said things like, "My back hurts, Tyler is dead, Nick is hurt, there's so much blood." And then a voice came on the line and said, "Ma'am, we're gonna do everything we can to save your husband." A few days later, got a phone call and there was a nurse there and she said that she had a patient and she wasn't supposed to give him the phone because he was supposed to be keeping his oxygen on, but he kept pointing at the phone and saying her name is Sara. So he told me that he was going to be medevac to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. We spent a lot of time in that hospital. Our girls played Barbies on the floor while John recovered.
Watched Star Wars.
Watched Star Wars almost every day.
Played Legos.
John had 33 surgeries in 6 months. And I can remember getting very, very frustrated with the doctor one day, saying, "How many more of these is he going to have? He can't possibly take anymore." And the doctor said, "This is like a car crash on steroids. Your husband was not supposed to survive this accident."
From the IED on, I spent 6 months in the hospital learning to walk, learning to talk, learning just how to function the new, quote, norm. I was a crisis Christian at the time. I was that guy that would go to church 4 times a year: Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, and then one other time if I was trying to make the wife happy.
I can remember the day that they told us that John was going to be medically retired from the Army, and I can remember feeling worried because John found his identity being a soldier. And when they told us that we were no longer going to do that, we made plans to move to Las Vegas. We had some very close friends there. It sounded like a really good idea, but I can remember being worried about John. And he tried a few things, tried to find out who he was. He was looking for who he was. And then he got himself down a very dangerous path. He was looking to destroy himself. I decided to take our fate into my own hands, I guess. The more I tried to fix us and the more John's lack of trying to fix us, the more I knew that God was missing from our picture. And so I went online and I was looking for a faith-based military marriage retreat. I knew if I could connect John back to the military somehow, that maybe he could try and find himself a little bit. I knew that if I went at John and told him that we were going to Bible study for a week, he would look at me like I was crazy and say no. So I took the fact that it was in Alaska and there was salmon fishing, and I told him we were going on a fishing trip in Alaska with a teeny tiny bit of Bible study, and he fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker. So for me, the biggest struggle that I had was, in the back of my mind, no matter what I did, I always had in my head, because I had taken a life, because of the mission I had done downrange, that God didn't love me, that it would shine on my family, but where I was going to end up in eternity was not with my family. So I just tried to make the best of the situation, make sure they were taken care of, make sure they were saved, and wasn't worried about myself. So when Chaplain Steve called me out and said, "Hey, we need to have a conversation," I knew in the back of my mind I was not giving up.
And this wasn't going to work.
I 100% said it wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And then when he broke it down Barney style for me and said, "Hey, look, you can still receive God's grace. You can still be saved. You can still have God's love. You can still get into heaven. All you have to do is open your heart."
It's okay.
That deceit and the lies that I had been believing for years vanished. Living in God's grace is fantastic. There's to have that deceit gone and know that no matter what, God loves me. That I can go to him and say, hey, Father, I screwed up. Can you forgive me for the sins that I've done? Can you help me overcome this? And he has. And the most awesome thing about it is the fact that he's given us the ability to help others that were stuck where we were with Reboot, with Regen, just the ability to get to our other vet brothers and sisters that are struggling with the same stuff we are, that they can still receive God's grace. It's just getting over the deceit and the lies that our enemy has put before us. We have to overcome that stuff, and we have to basically just knock down that wall. And when we knock down that wall and they see, oh my God, I can get God's grace, I can get God's love, it's life-changing. And the experience that I got in Alaska, they get right here with Reboot, and it just helps them to overcome. And it's one of the greatest things just to watch people change. Okay. I am John Hosea.
I'm Sara Hosea.
And we are StoneWater.